When I look back at my journey, it feels like life has always been moving at full speed. I came to the US in 2021, and from the moment I landed, everything was new. New challenges, new opportunities, and an entire new way of living. Those early days were filled with figuring things out, from navigating a different culture to managing life as an international student. And it was an exciting time, but it was also a whirlwind. My 2 years of pursuing a master's in public health were a constant hustle, classes and assignments and internships and everything else that comes with grad school. And then came the next chapter, finding a job. That in itself was a journey. And in 2022, I met my person. And together we decided to start and build a life together. We moved in, bought a house, and planned a future. And it was all so beautiful and fulfilling, but to be honest, it was a lot. Now, this past year especially felt like everything was happening all at once, between getting engaged and planning a wedding and managing the demands of work. Life was packed, and don't get me wrong, because I'm incredibly grateful for everything, and these are the milestones I dreamed of, and I wouldn't trade them for anything. But when I pause to reflect, I realized that my life has been moving in overdrive for years, and I hadn't given myself a moment to just be. And that's actually what led me here, to this decision to slow down, to intentionally make space for rest, and to enjoy the beauty of the present. Taking Fridays off was a deliberate step in that direction, and it's not just about cutting back on working hours. It's really about creating a life when I can finally breathe and where I can notice the small joys that has been passing by me. Now, I wake up on Fridays without an alarm, letting my body rest fully for the first time in years, and I make my tea slowly, sit by the window, and soak in the quiet moments, the snow falling, the sunlight filtering through the trees, or even just the stillness of the morning. These moments actually remind me that life doesn't always have to be so fast paced, and it has to be meaningful. For the first time, I feel like I can afford to slow down, to savor the chapter of life that I've worked so hard to reach. And it's a season of appreciating the journey, of embracing the calm, and of finding joy in the everyday. And that's why this shift towards slow living, intentional slow living, has become so important to me. And it's my way of saying that I've arrived, and it's my way of giving myself permission to live fully, with intention and without rush. As I move into 2025, I want to hold on to this way of life. If your days feel like they're racing by, and maybe this is your sign to pause, and you don't need to change everything all at once. Start small and find a moment, a quiet walk, a slow cup of tea, or even a breath, and let yourself sink in. Life's simplest treasures are waiting to be actually noticed, and all you have to do is slow down enough to see them. I recently came across an idea that completely transformed the way I think about spending. It's a simple yet powerful concept from the book Die with Zero. When you buy something, you're not just trading money, you're trading hours of your life. Imagine earning $35 an hour, and if you spend that $35 to buy something, that's an hour of your time gone to afford it. If you take it a step further, that $100 pair of shoes isn't just a price tag, it's nearly 3 hours of your life. This realization was like a wake up call for me. Suddenly, every price tag wasn't just a number, it was a piece of my life. When I started viewing spending this way, everything changed. It wasn't just about big purchases like gadgets or vacations. It applied to everyday things like streaming subscriptions I barely used or those little add ons I'd grab at checkout. Each choice came with a trade off. That's hours of my life spent working to afford something that often didn't add real value. This shift in perspective wasn't about guilt, it was just about being intentional. And I started to weigh my decisions more carefully and asking myself if the time I gave up was worth what I was getting in return. It also made me think about alternatives. Now, when I'm about to spend $20 or $40 on something, I pause and consider what else that money could go toward. For me, traveling brings immense joy, and I think about how the same amount could cover a meal when I'm exploring a new city or a train ride to an exciting destination. Instead of buying something I might not even appreciate a week later, I redirect that money towards experiences that truly enrich my life. It's not about saving for the sake of saving, it's about spending intentionally. It's about using money as a tool to create memories, invest in what makes you genuinely happy, and align your financial choices with your values. This mindset actually helped me reevaluate my habits. I used to shop out of boredom or pick up things I thought I needed but didn't. Seeing those purchases through the lens of time made me pause and rethink. A trendy gadget might have seemed exciting in the moment, but knowing it represented hours of my effort made me consider if it would genuinely bring joy or just add clutter to my life. It's amazing how much lighter life feels when you let go of the unnecessary and focus on what truly matters. The beauty of this approach is that it isn't about restricting yourself, it's about aligning your spending with your values. For me, it meant saving for meaningful experiences, investing in quality over quantity, and finding joy in things that truly enrich my life. Next time you're about to buy something, pause and ask yourself, does this add value to my life? Is it worth the hours I'm trading? When you start to see spending through this lens, you'll find it easier to focus on what truly matters and let go of the rest. Have you ever felt stuck with a decision because you told yourself, well, I already started this, so I can't back out now? Or maybe you've been afraid of what people will think if you change directions. Here's the thing, you're allowed to change your mind. It's not a sign of failure, it's a sign of growth. Life is full of twists and turns, and we learn more, experience more, and evolve, and it's only natural for our priorities and choices to shift too. Changing your mind doesn't mean you're indecisive or unreliable. It means you're adaptable. It's acknowledging that the person you were when you made a certain decision isn't the same person you are today. For example, I came to the US with a clear intention to go to dental school, get my DDS degree, and practice as a dentist here. Dentistry wasn't just a job to me. I had already invested over a decade in the field and practicing in my home country, and I loved it. But as time passed, my priorities started to shift. The idea of spending another 2 years in school and over $400,000 on education just didn't make sense anymore. I realized that I didn't want to tie myself to a high stress 9 to 5 job as a dentist, even if it is promised more money. For me, it felt like I'd just be building a bigger hamster wheel, taking on a massive debt, and locking myself into a lifestyle I no longer wanted. Instead, I wanted something simpler, quieter, and more peaceful. This was the hardest decisions I have ever made, especially considering how much time and energy and money I had already invested in dentistry. But I didn't let the concept of sunk cost drive me. I chose to prioritize the life I truly wanted instead. Today, I have a debt free, stress free job that brings me comfort and peace. And even better, my husband and I were able to use the money I would have spent on more education to crown the house now we call home. It was a decision rooted in what mattered the most to me, and I have never looked back. If you're driving down a road and realize you have taken a wrong turn, do you just keep going or you turn around and find a better route and keep moving? Changing your mind is exactly like that. It's not about giving up, it's about course correcting so you can move closer to the life you truly want. The next time you feel like you're stuck with a decision, remind yourself that you're allowed to change your mind. It's your life, your journey, and it's okay to pivot as you grow.